Most people believe budgeting fails because they lack discipline. In reality, budgeting usually breaks down because it conflicts with how the human brain actually works. The core truth of this video is this: budgeting is not a financial skill problem. It is a behavioral and psychological mismatch. Most budgets fail, not in the first few days, but quietly after a few weeks, when motivation fades and normal life takes over. At the beginning, budgeting feels clear and controlled. There is intention, structure, and a sense of reset. The brain experiences this as progress, but that feeling is temporary. Once the novelty wears off, the budget stops feeling like a plan and starts feeling like friction. Human behavior is driven far more by energy and emotion than by logic. A budget demands constant attention, repeated restraint, and frequent decision-making. Each of these draws from mental energy. Over time, that energy depletes. This is not weakness. It is cognitive fatigue. The brain naturally looks for ways to reduce effort. When a system requires continuous monitoring, it becomes mentally expensive. After a few weeks, the budget starts to feel demanding, even if the numbers are reasonable. Avoidance begins quietly. Transactions are not reviewed. Categories are ignored. Small overspends are rationalized. This is where budgeting often collapses, not through rebellion, but through disengagement. Another reason budgets fail is that they are built around ideal behavior, not real behavior. Most budgets assume consistent self-control, stable emotions, and predictable routines. Real life does not operate that way. Stressful days, social events, unexpected costs, and mental exhaustion all influence spending. When reality diverges from the plan feels broken. Once a budget feels broken, people tend to abandon it entirely. This is an all-or-nothing response. Instead of adjusting, they disengage. The brain interprets deviation as failure, not feedback. This emotional response accelerates breakdown far more than the original overspending ever could. Comfort also plays a role. In the early weeks, budgeting feels purposeful. Later, it feels restrictive. As routines settle, the desire to return to familiar spending patterns increases. The budget begins to feel like an external rule imposed on daily life, rather than a tool serving it. Loss aversion intensifies this effect. Reducing spending feels like giving something up. Even small adjustments are experienced as loss rather than choice. Over time, the emotional cost of sticking to the budget outweighs the perceived benefit, especially when financial pressure does not immediately disappear. Another overlooked factor is delayed reward. Budgeting asks for restraint now in exchange for abstract future benefits. The human brain struggles with delayed gratification, particularly when daily effort is required. Without visible reinforcement, engagement declines. In everyday working life, this pattern is common. People start budgets with genuine intent. The first few weeks go well. Then work stress increases, routines shift, or attention drifts. The budget remains, but engagement fades. Spending continues, tracking stops, and the system quietly dissolves. Importantly, this does not mean budgeting is useless. It means most budgets are designed in a way that ignores psychological limits. A system that relies on constant willpower is fragile. When willpower drops, the system collapses. The reframe is crucial. Budgeting should not be treated as a test of discipline. It is better understood as an experiment in awareness. The purpose is not perfect adherence. It is visibility. When budgets are framed as rigid rules, failure feels personal. When they are framed as information, deviation becomes data. Financial control does not come from forcing behavior into a strict structure. It comes from designing systems that require less daily effort, systems that tolerate inconsistency, systems that acknowledge emotional spending without judgment. This is why many people feel relief when they stop budgeting, even though their finances do not improve. The relief comes from reduced cognitive load, not from better outcomes. The challenge is finding approaches that reduce mental strain without abandoning awareness altogether. The quiet reality is that budgeting fails, not because people are irresponsible, but because the method demands more psychological energy than most people can sustain long-term. When that energy runs out, behavior reverts to default patterns. Understanding this changes the question. Instead of asking why you cannot stick to a budget, the better question is why the budget requires so much constant effort in the first place. This is money psychology. Subscribe for more clarity about how money really works.